As one of 20 state capitals designated as National Historic Landmarks, and with a history that dates back to 1888, known as the People's House, the Wyoming Capitol is the seat of Wyoming's executive and legislative branches of government. Finished in 3 phases, the state completed its first comprehensive 4-year restoration in 2019. Viewed from a distance, the classical Renaissance architecture is highlighted by the Capitol's symmetry, Corinthian columns, and the 24-karat gold leaf dome. The exterior features sandstone from Rawlins, Wyoming. During the restoration, the original quarry had been closed for over 100 years, but reopening it allowed the team to get the exact same stone as was used in the original construction. But look closely at the upper portion of the Capitol exterior. You may be surprised that although it looks like sandstone from a distance, it is actually metal. The exterior sandstone includes many decorative elements. Just outside the main entrance to the Capitol, the official state seal of Wyoming greets visitors. Completed in 2011, the seal features 782 pieces of granite from all over the world, featuring a woman in front of a banner bearing the phrase, "Equal Rights." The seal aptly captures the legacy laid by the state's earliest legislators. 50 years before the United States Senate passed the 19th Amendment, Wyoming's territorial legislature recognized the inherent right of women in the territory to vote and hold public office, a first for our country. Once inside, the beautiful rotunda is among the most recognizable spaces within the Capitol. 54 feet above, stained glass forms the base of the Capitol dome and sparkles with blue, purple, and green hues. But from above, it glistens red, yellow, and orange. The decorative paint in the rotunda and many other spaces in the Capitol has been restored to match the original paint in the building. Using colors and patterns discovered during the renovation, artisans recreated the painting. The most historic rooms and corridors are painted in a style called trompe l'oeil, which means fool the eye in French, and creates an illusion of a 3-dimensional effect through the use of highlights and shadows in the painting process. The 4 sisters, located in the niches of the 3rd floor of the rotunda, represent key values and attributes of Wyoming and its people. The oldest sister, Truth, leads the way, illuminating the path for Wyoming's pioneers. Next, Justice sets the course for Wyomingites to live freely and peacefully. Courage allows us to carry on, encouraging and supporting us through hard times. The youngest sister, Hope, inspires us to continue striving for the future, building the Wyoming to which we aspire. Visitors can't help but notice the black and white marble tiles throughout the Capitol's interior. The checkerboard floors were constructed from black marble quarried in Tennessee and white marble quarried from Vermont. If you look closely, you will notice that fossils are visible in many of the black tiles. Also striking is the beautiful wood in the Capitol's interior. Cherry, oak, and butternut, finished in cherry stain, was mostly imported from Ohio because there were few hardwood trees nearby when the Capitol was constructed. Wyoming's Capitol is unique in that most of the finishes are wood rather than stone, making the People's House warm and inviting. Was the Capitol perfectly constructed? The cryptic answer lies in the staircase that leads to the House of Representatives chamber. While walking up the steps towards the House of Representatives, notice the second spindle from the top on your left side. It's upside down. The carvers did this intentionally to reflect their belief that only God is perfect. After the renovations were completed in 2019, all 5 statewide elected officials now have offices in the Capitol. Historic fireplaces that were originally used to heat the building adorn these offices as decorative elements. The governor's offices are located on the east wing on the 1st floor and garden level on the east end of the Capitol. Featured is the governor's ceremonial conference room, where the governor holds many public events, including signing bills passed by the legislature. In the ceremonial conference room hangs the striking oil painting titled Potter's Bull by Thomas Mesker that dates back to 1885. Can you find the two bullet holes in the painting? Legend has it that John Coble, mad of the image of European cattle instead of Western cattle, and reportedly intoxicated at the time, tried to shoot the bull with his .45 gun when the painting hung in the historic Cheyenne Club in 1880. Outside the ceremonial conference room and in the corridor directly below is the governor's portrait gallery, with paintings of Wyoming's former governors from territorial time to present. The gallery includes a portrait of Nellie Taylor Ross, inaugurated in 1925 as the first female governor in the United States. One of the primary goals of the 2019 renovation was to increase space for public participation in policymaking. There are now a total of 10 public meeting rooms, with 2 large new public meeting rooms on the west wing of the first floor of the Capitol. These 2 rooms seat approximately 50 audience members, while the largest rooms seat up to 100. Before the project, most public meeting rooms in the Capitol accommodated fewer than 20 members of the public. The centers of activity when Wyoming's legislature is in session are the Senate and House of Representatives chambers, located on the second floor of the Capitol on the west and east sides, respectively. Both chambers were completed in an expansion of the Capitol in 1917. Wyoming's bicameral legislature is composed of 31 senators and 62 representatives. Each chamber includes 4 murals painted by artist Alan Tupper True. Completed the same year as the chambers, the murals depict themes that are woven through Wyoming's history and culture. You will find Indian chief, cavalry officer, Pony Express rider, and railroad and survey builders on the Senate side, and homesteaders, trappers, cattlemen, and stagecoach on the House side. The chambers also display original oil paintings by Bill Gallings of Sheridan, Wyoming. Similar to True's murals, these paintings remind visitors of Wyoming's historical and cultural heritage. The walls in the third-floor galleries and second-floor lobbies are decorated with composites of Wyoming's past legislators. Look above in either chamber. You'll be captivated by the ceilings, inlaid with Tiffany-style stained glass, portraying the state seal in the center. Together, the stained glass ceilings in the Senate and House chambers are composed of more than 20,000 glass pieces. In 2008, copper roofing above the stained glass was removed to restore historic glass skylights to allow the sun to light the chambers instead of fluorescent bulbs. 9 other historic skylights were restored as part of the renovation, washing the third floor in daylight. Other than a few legislative leaders, Wyoming legislators do not have office space in the Capitol complex. Instead, they perform their work during the sessions at their desks in the chambers. For the last quarter of the 20th century, legislators performed their work in Army-issued metal desks. These were replaced with new Wyoming-made desks in 2002. The granite for the desks was quarried in Wyoming. The desktops in the House of Representatives have the model granite called Mirage, and the granite on the desktops in the Senate is called Raven. One of the project's most notable features is the restoration of the 1888 Territorial House Chamber, which became the Supreme Court Chamber in 1890. This historic 2-story space was divided into 2 floors several decades ago, and the important role this room served in Wyoming's history was forgotten. Arguably one of the most significant chambers in the country, and certainly in Wyoming's history, it was in this room in 1889, while Wyoming was seeking statehood, a constitutional convention was held. A large part of debate focused on women's suffrage, a right Wyoming women had held since 1869. The debate culminated with representatives enshrining women's suffrage within the Wyoming State Constitution, making Wyoming the first state in the country to recognize the inherent right of women to vote and hold public office. As part of the project, the floor dividing the chamber has been removed, restoring the splendor of this significant space. Historic paint studies revealed extensive trompe-l'oeil paint dating back to 1888, which has also been replicated. Restoration of this magnificent chamber celebrates Wyoming's legacy as the first government guaranteeing these rights for women. The Joint Appropriations Committee room is located on the third floor of the Capitol, and the original 1888 vaulted ceiling and decorative paint have also been fully restored. The vaulted ceiling was destroyed in the 1970s when the chandelier that hangs in the historic Supreme Court was relocated to this room. The room features an 8 by 22-foot mural titled Wyoming, the Land, the People. Painted by Wyoming artist Mike Kopriva in 1981, the mural includes the state's most recognizable landmarks and traditions. Look closely, and you'll find hidden faces in the mural in the lower left corner of the canvas, including the artist, Ed Herschler, Wyoming's only 3-term governor, and Dick Cedar, a state senator. In the west garden level, an exposed stone wall marks the edge of the 1890 expansion. The brick wall on the west side of the 1917 expansion was originally a coal chute located in the 1890 section of the building. Most of the work during the 2019 renovation in the garden level happened below ground and is no longer visible and includes new building infrastructure and safety systems. The foundation of the Capitol has been reinforced with over 600 supports that reach up to 40 feet underground. The 4 entrances to the garden level have been opened to their historic dimensions, twice as large as the previous entrances, which provide a more welcoming experience for those entering the building. Ceilings throughout the building have been raised by 3 to 4 feet to their historic heights. Historic vault doors throughout the garden level were retained and restored. All the vaults were made by the Mosler Safe Company in Ohio. One of the big surprises in the restoration was the vibrant oil paintings on the vault doors that were discovered under layers of old paint. The vault doors were replaced during the 1888 building phase and stored official documents and the state's money. As for the 6 beautiful unsigned paintings found on the doors, the work was done by the Mosler Safe Company, likely by one of the Mosler brothers or a hired employee. The Capitol extension connects the Capitol and the Herschler Building underground and added approximately 47,000 square feet during the 2019 restoration. Notice the skylights that provide a unique vantage point of the Capitol dome. The expanded structure has 6 public meeting rooms. The north end of the extension includes a 250-seat auditorium, media center, a student learning center, and a visitor center. There are also 5 conference rooms and a catering kitchen in this area. The sculptures, located on the north end of the extension, commemorate 2 state icons, Chief Washakie and Esther Hobart Morris. These figures can also be found in Statuary Hall of our nation's capital. Washakie, chief of the Eastern Shoshone tribe in Wyoming for more than 60 years, played a crucial role in cultivating a spirit of peace and respect between the state's native tribes and the United States government. Esther Hobart Morris is a figure often associated with the women's suffrage movement in Wyoming and nationwide. In 1870, 1 year after Wyoming recognized the inherent right of women to vote and hold public office, she became the nation's first female Justice of the Peace. The home of various state agencies, the Herschler Building was also radically transformed and expanded by 56,000 square feet during the 2019 renovation. The exterior of the Herschler Building is now more complementary to the Capitol and was replaced to address major maintenance issues. Also important to Cheyenne's history, historic views of the Capitol from Capitol Avenue have been restored. The restoration of this historic landmark has returned the People's House to its original grandeur, while ensuring Wyoming's crown jewel is safe and functional for the people of Wyoming for generations to come. The day after the cornerstone laying ceremony in 1887, a journalist remarked in the Cheyenne Daily Sun, "The structure is admirably conceived. Its outlines and ornamentations are airy and graceful, and its massive dome will form a fitting climax to its architectural beauty. Indeed, after all these years, the Capitol continues to stand as a beauty of downtown Cheyenne and a beacon for democracy.